Everybody, my name is Christopher Saunders, and this is the Connecticut Sports Talent Show, where we talk all things talents in Connecticut. And on today's show, I'm pleased to have a first-year head coach with the Wolcott Eagles, Coach Bell, who's been a part of the program for many, many years. Coach Bell, first off, congratulations on being named the head coach for Wolcott.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Coach Bell, before we get into obviously your time with Wolcott and even before you were named the head coach, you and I were just going back and forth. I mean, you're related to Coach Moffo from Woodland. He's your cousin. You as a player, you played, DN, defensive line up until you could not play football anymore. How did the game, what attracted you to the game of football?
I think the game of football is built for tough guys. Because it takes a certain type of person to be able to be like, listen, I want to run at that guy full speed and I want to hit him. Mm-hmm. It's for everybody, but it's like a specialty. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like a specialty. Like you gotta the amount of hours that you have to love the game of football for the hours that you put in for it. You're practicing every day. You're out in the heat. You're out doing 2 a day. Well, when I played, it was 2 a days. You're doing all this activity for one game, but it's a family is what it is. And you do it for it's almost military-esque, if I could say that. And I don't want to offend any people in the military, but football is very close to being in the military, mm-hmm. where you have, it's a family and you don't want to let the guy down on the side of you. And it's the best thing on earth. Playing football is the best, for me at least, is the best sport on earth. You get rid of your aggression, you have fun, you have high highs, you have low lows, but it's fantastic. It's the best sport. And I've always said this to my football players, it's the last place you could be a true man.
No, I think, Coach, I truly agree with all the points that you said. I think also to add to that, I feel like football kind of teaches you life in a lot of ways.
Teaches you huge life lessons.
No matter what position it is. I feel like, I'm sure you could speak to the life lessons that you learned growing up playing football.
Actually, I learned most of my life lessons at playing football: respect, being on time, yes sir, no sir, dedication. Like I tell my players, I was like, if you're not 15 minutes early, you're late. Stuff like that. Like it's totally like even being respectful and working hard for something. Mm-hmm. Like I think in today's society, kids don't understand the hard work that you have to put in to earn something. And sometimes even putting in all the work that you could possibly put in, mm-hmm. sometimes you don't earn what you think you earn. And that's just that, once again, that's a life lesson. Like sometimes you could work your butt off for as much as you want and you don't win that game. Like that happens in life sometimes.
Coach, as you were progressing in your career, now everybody at some point, we get all too old to play what is a child's game, I feel like. Yes. Unless you have an opportunity to play college, pro, etc. But at some point, you got to call it quits. But then you have your second act. Anybody has a second act if they decide. For you, it was coaching. Was that something that you wanted to get, was that something that you felt like even when you were playing that, I kind of want to try coaching? Did you ever want to do that?
So when I was playing football, I wanted to do nothing but play football. And I loved it. Then Jay Pace got involved. Like I played flag football. And for anybody that knows that, we played in a rough league. Flag football is like playing without pads on. I probably got more hurt playing flag football than I did playing football. That being said, Jay Pace called on me and asked me to coach the defensive line. And I didn't know if I wanted to do it. And I said to Jay, you know what? I'll show up once or twice. And because Jay knew how to get me. He's like, Tone, just show up once or twice a week. I was like, all right, I'll just show up once or twice a week. And then all of a sudden, my first week there, I'm like, I showed up once. I connected with the kids because technically I am a big kid. And I just connected with the kids. And I was like, how am I supposed to lead these kids on a field if I'm not here all the time? Like they're not going to kids are smart. They're not going to respect me. They're not going to believe in me if I don't come every day. So I got into coaching, and then like you have connections with these kids, uh, from freshman year on, and it's not something that you could just give up. You know what I mean? You don't want to let these kids down. And once I got into that situation, I couldn't let the next group down, and I couldn't let the next group down, and you know what I mean? You understand what I'm saying? Like you can't let these kids down. So I'm there. I'm trying to. Once again, I'm trying to teach these kids life lessons, and honestly give back to the Wolcott community, and help these kids out, because like I remember like my coaches when I was growing up, they made a huge impact on my life. Coach Monroe, Brian Coet, Jimmy Coet, Coach Allen, they all made huge impacts on my life when I was growing up. And I kind of want to have that impact, like to help these kids out in their life. So like being a coach, like gives me that opportunity. I'll never be a teacher. I'll never be a police officer. And this is the way for me to, this is the way for me to help them out.
No, I heard you mention Coach Monroe. Is that the father of the now coach at Lyman Hall? His
Yes.
son?
Yes. And honestly, like I love Coach Monroe. I love CJ. They're both great guys. Both great guys.
Yeah, CJ graduated the same year I did back in 2011 from Wolcott. So
Oh yeah.
yeah.
CJ's a great dude.
So nice. I'm actually going to have him on here hopefully sometime in August. But he and I used to go back and forth even during high school, just talking about, Wolcott at the time when Sacred Heart, because I went to Sacred Heart, now closed, would play against Wolcott and stuff. But anywho, back to you, Coach. Now, looking at kind of your first couple of years, you talked about how, the players, you want to help, you didn't want to let each class down. Was it tough early on? Because at some point you can only help players if they wanted to be helped. But for you wanting to help everybody, did you have to try to figure out, okay, today I need to be a good cop to this player. Maybe I need to be a bad cop to this player. Was that hard early on?
So here's the thing. I'm never a bad cop.
Okay.
I'm never the bad cop, because honestly, like each kid learns in a certain way. Some of them you could yell at. Some of them, honestly, kids nowadays, they don't take positivity yelling at them. I take more of they respect me. I earn that mutual respect between them, and when they mess up, I'll listen. First of all, there's no need to yell at a kid. I personally am not going to scream at a kid. I'm going to look at them. I'm going to smile at them. I'm like, you messed up. And they're going to look at me back, and they're going to be like, yeah. And they're going to put their head down. They're going to be like, yeah, coach, I know. I'm like, all right, what'd you do wrong? I'll talk it out with them. I'm like, what'd you do wrong? Well, I did this, this, and this. I said, so you know the right way to do it now. And then there's times where I'll tell a kid, listen, don't do this. Or like big thing with me is don't spin, especially on the defensive line. There's no need to spin. We're not D1 athletes. We're not, like, if you spin, you're going to end up on your butt. So I tell them, listen, don't spin. And the kid will be like, coach, I think I could spin. I was like, all right, you could try it. And then when they end up on their butt, I look at them like, I told you so. So I'm not a good cop, bad cop. I treat each kid equally. And like I earn their respect. I kind of become friends with them. And I'm honest. I'm always honest with them. I'll tell them, listen, man, you got to work on this, this, and this in order for you to get in the game. And that's the way I've always been. And I think, I mean, it might not be the right thing, but it's the way I coach.
Throughout the course of the time that you've been with Wolcott coaching, Coach, would you say that maybe your coaching style has evolved and kind of in some ways prepared you to have this opportunity of being now a first-year head coach with Wolcott?
Yes. You see, coaching with Jay Pace, he had great years, great athletes, great years. I learned a lot from him. Honestly, I learned a lot from my cousin Chris. I learned positive things from every coach that I've coached under. I've learned what works. I've learned what doesn't work. I've learned what could help, what can't help, and honestly, it boils down to having that connection with the kids. But that's what it boils down to, is having that close connection with the kids, and making sure their positivity stays up.
It's funny that you talk about the connection with the coaches and the players that you've, gone through over the course of your time with Wolcott. I got your connection from Coach Hovey, because Hovey texted me, because I still talk to him even though he's all over the place.
Yeah, he is.
Him, I asked, he actually texted me and said, "Hey, did you know that Wolcott hired a new coach?" And I was like, "No, I didn't even know. Who was it?" And he was like, "Coach Bell." And I'm like, "Oh, I remember Coach Bell." And then we kind of went through, and he was like, "Hey, here's his number." And that's how we connected. But that's how Hovey is.
He's a great guy. He's a great,
exactly.
and honestly, like I learned a lot from him also. He was a big film guy. He's a guy that loved numbers. He loved numbers. And like, honestly, he was so smart when it came to numbers and analytical thinking and breaking down film. Like how I just said, you take something from each coach.
Exactly.
I took a lot of that from him. Like there's still a lot of stuff that I'm actually doing now that Coach Hovey did. There's a lot of stuff I took from Coach Pace, Coach Hovey, Coach CT. Like there's a lot of different things that I took from each coach.
And what's funny too, and I've noticed this in the NVL, is that because I feel like in a lot of ways, when a new voice, when new blood comes in and they try to do something, because I don't think a lot of numbers are used typically, to my knowledge, like Coach Hovey was doing, and it was new. And a lot of people were like, "Oh, why is he doing this?" But then when you speak about what you just said, there's a logic to it. There's a reason for
it. Yeah. Oh yeah.
No?
It's unbelievable. Like he knew certain and everything is certain things that people would do with certain downs and distance. He knew that. Like he'd be like, "All right, it's third and long. They run these 3 plays this many times at this percentage." Yep. He would say it over the headset. He knew.
It's like he was in their headset calling the play.
Yeah, he was good. He was good. And speaking of that, like my cousin Chris will know that too. Like I don't know how he does it, but he'll know. Like okay, they're in this formation. They're lined up here. They're on this hash. This is the play that they favor that they're going to run.
I got to ask you real quick, because I actually have not been able to ask Chris this, and it's crazy I haven't been able to. What grinds his gears more, a holding penalty or an offsides for offensive? Offsides?
Yes, because offsides is a like holding. You're trying. Okay. Offsides is just there's no need for it. Yeah, it's just mental strength. And that's my offsides is my biggest thing too.
Okay, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you answered that. Hopefully he'll watch that and get a kick out of it.
Oh no, he'll probably watch that and probably be making fun of me.
No, you got to be good, because you guys will be. Now, is Naugatuck playing against Wolcott this year?
Yes.
Okay, because I know that they got rid of the iron, brass, and copper. Now it's Division I, Division II.
Yes.
And I think Wolcott's in the same Division I with Naugatuck, correct?
Yeah, we actually pulled a power schedule. It's going to be a tough year for us. It's going to be tough. We're going to have to play. We're going to have to play tough, because we have Ansonia, we have Naugatuck. They're both very good teams. Actually, everybody in our division is a good team.
Exactly. No, I agree with you. Hopefully they'll, they should be able to release that at some point to kind of give, because I know a lot of people have been asking me who's where and what, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As far as the teams. Coach, now while I have you for a couple more minutes, just kind of brief. I know last year was a tough season as far as the wins. There were a lot of losses, but it was a learning experience for the kids. A lot of young guys, we were talking, a lot of sophomores got opportunities. Your son, quarterback.
A lot of sophomores got opportunities.
Your son, who was the quarterback late with Green getting hurt against Ansonia, he got an opportunity, against Career, and then Bell was playing against Ansonia and throughout. He got opportunities. Coming into now this offseason, what was it like as far as the atmosphere? You were telling me that kids are coming into the weight room, different mindset.
Different mindset. We wanted we wanted to change it up a little bit. Like our soft, like I'm not taking anything away from our seniors. We have a good senior group, the Dunn boys, Teddy McCary, just a great senior group. We have this new kid, Zeb, coming out. We call him Zeb. Zeb coming out. He's a great kid. LaMontagne, who's like, I'm going to tell you right now, when you see this kid, you're going to be like, holy crap. Like he's a stud. But everybody's been working so hard toward the greater good. But our sophomores is our sophomore group. We got a bunch of good kids as sophomores too, and incoming freshmen. Like I think this is like the biggest incoming freshman class we've had. I know I went to the middle school to try to get everybody to like, listen, come out and play. Stop playing video games. Come and play some football. Like, try to play some football. Come out and play some. It's fun. Like it's fun. It's a good thing. But like the sophomore group, Quinn Pollock. I'm sorry, their sophomore is going to be juniors. So Quinn Pollock, Jahan Rose, Mikey Chapelone, Mikey McCormick was a freshman last year, and he's going to be a sophomore. He's unbelievable. I just told you before, I don't like talking good about my son, but hopefully like he does well. I personally can't coach him, but hopefully he plays well. And honestly, like the coaching staff that we got is the best coaches. Like we all get along, and kids could see that. And the kids seeing that we get along, it's going to be like a family. And that's what I like the most. But like our sophomore group, our sophomore going into juniors are going to be a good group.
Coach, I think that it's hard in high school to predict as far as one season to the next, because you got kids who leave for one reason or another. You have graduations. It's hard to account for how much growth is from one season to the next. But the one thing that I know as far as Wolcott is concerned is that if they have a tough season previously, they usually come back roaring the following season. And it seems like there's always something that kind of gets them going. And I do feel like this coming season, which is not too long, we're only, I think September 9th is the first game.
Yeah.
As far as for you guys are concerned, you play against, I think, Career Academy.
Yes.
I remember right. So
yes,
that is going to be, it's fastly approaching. And I think Wolcott is going to have a much better season for a lot of reasons, Coach.
Listen, I hope so. I really, really hope so. And it all depends on it. A lot of it depends on me as a coach. I put a lot of it on my shoulders to make sure these, and it doesn't depend on the kids. I have to do the right thing by the kids to make them want to play. You almost have to be like a motivational speaker to get kids want to play. And it's the way we coach them. It all has to do with the way we coach them. Like I just said, we have a great coaching staff, and hopefully, I listen. I'm gonna say hopefully we do have a good season. I really hope, but you're obviously going to lose some, and hopefully we win more than we lose.
Coach, it also helps too, real quick, that, you do return your quarterback. There's only a few teams in the NVL who do return their starting quarterback. Wolcott does, Seymour does, and then I think Ansonia as well, and then Oxford. But if I recall, a lot of teams are not doing that. So that kind of, I feel like, does help too in some ways.
Having a quarterback, and I go from Vinny Gambino. Vinny Gambino started as a freshman. I don't know if you remember him, but he started as a freshman and worked his way up to a varsity. Having, and I listen, Mikey Green was a stud athlete.
Yeah, he was.
But having, like, you've seen him play, right? Like he was fast. He was different. Like he was unbelievable.
Yep.
And having Anthony start as a sophomore, like the experience that you get as a sophomore starting quarterback is priceless. Like in order for you, like it's just priceless that you could get him starting as a sophomore, and hopefully he'll stay as quarterback all the way till he's a senior. But like the experience is just none other.
Coach, we've just about run out of time, but I really do appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you allowing two of your players, the Dunn brothers, to come on here. And I also appreciate you also coming on as well. Hopefully, I'll be able to be at Wolcott for some games
I
for the
hope so.
season to be able to broadcast because I'm looking forward to it.
I hope so. Hopefully, we'll be able to meet face to face.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be.
That'll wrap things up here in the Connecticut Sports Talent Show. So until next time, stay safe. Remember, CT stands for Connecticut Talent. I'm Roger and find them all. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody, and be well.